Now we can prove that these are not Americans, even though they say they are. And it's not just the US, it's UK, it's Israel, it's Canada, it's Western Europe. Every place where Russia has an interest in creating hate and division, we're finding these bots. This is one that's called the White House, and they are using it to spread Russian propaganda and hatred.
What's up, guys? Yaniv Hoffman here. And before we dive into my conversation with Occupy the Web, let me give you the full context on what we are dealing with here. In late November, X, formerly Twitter, activated a feature called About This Account. Click any profile and you can see when the account was created, where it's based, how many times the username changed, and whether it was created on mobile or web. Now, the moment it went live, chaos erupted. An account called MAGA Nation X, which is Patriot Voice for We the People, was based in Eastern Europe. The handle? American? No, was Pakistan. Another account, Ultra MAGA, Trump 2028, claiming to be in Washington, D.C., but apparently in Africa. Ivanica News, Nigeria, Baron Trump News, Macedonia. And it wasn't just right-wing accounts. Ron Smith, a self-proclaimed proud Democrat with 52,000 followers, was operating out of Kenya. But here is what most people missed. This isn't just about politics. This is about money. These are business operations masquerading as political activisms. And today I sat down with Occupy the Web to break down what's really happening. So let's get into it.
Thank you, Yaniv. It's always an honor to be asked to be on your show. And I think this is a really important subject that we're covering today. And it's one that you and I had covered, about 2.5 years ago. We had talked about this. And at that time, I was making the case that so many of the accounts on social media in general, not just X, or Twitter, are basically Russian bots, or they're bots that are paid for by Russians or other people who want to influence politics. But mostly what they want to do is they want to sow hatred, and they use the internet as a way to sow hatred, to divide us. And, I can talk about it, other cybersecurity experts can talk about it, but until about 2 weeks ago, when X finally implemented their location feature, now everybody can see that so many of these accounts that are saying some of the meanest, nastiest things online are bots where people are simply doing it for money. They're being paid to create hate and division. So I thought it would be nice to go back and just kind of review what we talked about at that time and then look at some of these accounts, some of which have like 1 million followers, and what where they're based. Now that we can see where they're based. Before we couldn't see where they're based. They were all hidden. And now we can see where they're based. And surprise, surprise, they're in Russia, they're in Pakistan, they're in India, they're in Nigeria. And they are portraying themselves as Americans in other countries as well. It's not just the U.S., but obviously I'm in the U.S., as everybody knows, and this is an important development in the politics and just in the social media realm, where people are actually being turned off to social media because there's so much hatred out there. I mean, I'm turned off to it. I'm used to it, right? But I still get turned off by how much hate there is on Twitter and other social media. You say something and then everybody calls you names and says things about your mother, what have you. There's like, they just pound you with all kinds of hatred. So now we can prove that these are not Americans, even though they say they are. They are not Americans, and it's not just the U.S. It's it's UK, it's Israel, it's Canada, it's Western Europe, it's Romania, it's Georgia. Every place where Russia has an interest in creating hate and division, we're finding these bots. But I've put together a bunch of accounts that had a lot of followers that we now know are not in the U.S. Even though they say they are, they're not. And the question really that we have to ask ourselves is, what's their end goal, and who's paying them? And who's paying these people to spread this hate and division?
So let me pause here and give you some context on just how massive this problem really is, because the numbers are staggering. When Elon Musk bought Twitter in 2022, the company claimed bots made up roughly 5% of the accounts. Musk himself famously challenged this number, saying it was much higher, which was part of his justification for the acquisition. But here is what independent researchers found. Cybra, a data security firm, concluded with 80% confidence that spam and not bot accounts represent 11% of X total user base, more than double what Twitter claimed. Another analysis by Fifth Column AI looked at over 1.2 million accounts and predicted that approximately 64% could potentially be bots. Oh my God. Now, specifically looking at the election content, Cybra found that 1 in every 5 accounts interacting with Musk 2024 elections posts were fake. And it's not just X. A study from one of the largest security firms reports that over half of all internet traffic in 2024 was non-human, with 37% being malicious bots, a 5% increase from just a year before. So when we are talking about foreign influence on social media, we are not talking about a small problem. This is industrial scale manipulation, we can say.
So the first one I have for you, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. This one, can you see it? This is one that's called the White House. The White House. And this one has been out there for a while. It's been online. It joined in 2022, so some 3 years ago, and it's based in Russia. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Not to me, not to a lot of people in cybersecurity. It's not based in the US, but this person has this handle on Twitter, the White House, and they are using it to spread Russian propaganda and hatred. So I got a few more I want to show you. There's, let's see.
Interesting, it's a show that it's verified account, and then you see 3 username changes.
And some of them you'll see there's like 15 username changes. So they're always changing their name, trying to figure out what is going to get the most attention. So they keep on trying different names out. So we'll look at some others. Oh, look at this one, Ivanka Trump. This one's been around since 2010. Obviously, for those of you who aren't aware, that's Trump's daughter, his eldest daughter. Verified in 2024. It had 1 million followers, right? And the account is based in Nigeria, right? Probably being paid by somebody to spew hatred. Some of these, this is another account. She portrays, or they portray themselves as this woman from Texas, and she's based in Russia. Right. She has 3 username changes. She was verified in 2023. And so, once again, these are these MAGA accounts. I'll go find another one here. This is MAGA Nation. It's based in Eastern Europe. Okay. Let's see. Non-EU, Eastern Europe. Right? It could be any one of those nations in there. But this one, once again, MAGA, for those of you who aren't in the United States, that's Make America Great Again. That's the, what do you call it? It's the call for the Trump supporters. And so this guy portrays himself as being MAGA Nation in the U.S., but he's not even in the U.S. Now, that's fine for people to comment from other nations about American politics. I comment about other nations' politics, so I'm not saying that we should censor them. But what's important is that these people are portraying themselves. If I portrayed myself as an Israeli and got into Israeli politics, that would be something quite different.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than my as an outsider commenting on Israeli politics or British politics, what have you. And you and I talked last time. We talked about the fact that Russia uses social media as a battlefield. Okay, they're trying to create these dissension within every nation. They were probably behind the Brexit. Okay, as a matter of fact, in the UK right now, they're going back and examining that possibility that it was the whole Brexit campaign was financed by Russia. And they've learned that one of the leaders of the Brexit campaign was paid by Russia. So they're going back and reviewing that whole thing and investigating it. So it's not just the U.S. It's every nation out there that Russia wants to create some dissension in. Is here's another one. Okay, the MAGA storm. Okay, MAGA storm rising. Pro-Trump, pro-Musk, fighting for freedom and truth. But they're based in Eastern Europe. So there's so many of these. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I got another one for you. Okay, here's another one. Based in Nigeria, Magascope. Right? There's there's literally dozens of these. Let's see, there's another one here. Based in India, American Voice. This guy is probably being paid by somebody for username changes to portray himself as an American and try to influence U.S. politics. This is another one. Oh, America first. That's the mantra of the Trump presidency is America first. That's why he's put on all the tariffs and everything. This one is America first. This woman right here, I think that's Caroline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary. One username change in Bangladesh, right? In Bangladesh. And so I could keep on pulling up more and more and more. But it's important. What's most important here is to understand that these accounts, right, are being paid to create hate and dissension. And then people within the U.S. political system and voters see this and they think that what these people are saying is what Americans think, when they're not Americans. Once again, I want to say that I have no objection about people outside the U.S. commenting on U.S. politics. Just don't portray yourself as an American citizen, just like I will not portray myself as an Israeli citizen, a British citizen, a Ukrainian citizen, or a Russian citizen. I can comment on it. You have a freedom to say whatever you want, but don't lie about who you are and where you are. And this is a typical Russian psychological operation. They've been doing this for decades. They've been doing this from the beginning of social media, and it's what they do best. What does Russia do best? They create hatred best. That's their primary export into the world. You've probably never bought a Russian car. Maybe you bought some Russian vodka, but what you've probably consumed for sure is Russian hate. And so this is really important. It's engulfing social media, and it's something that all of us have to be aware of. And I point out not because I'm anti-Russian or pro-American, but rather simply that we need some authenticity. We need authenticity in social media so that people have to say who they are, where they are, right? And not try to portray themselves as being from a different country so they can influence politics there. And it's my guess, and I think we'll find this out eventually, that almost all these accounts are being paid by Russia to create this type of hate.
Now, here is where it gets really interesting, and this is the part most people miss. These aren't ideological warriors trying to influence American politics out of some deep conviction, at least the majority of them. This is business, pure and simple. And let me explain how X monetization system works, because this is crucial. To make money on X, you need three things, at least at the time I'm recording the video. A premium subscription, at least 5 million impressions in the last 3 months, and at least 500 verified followers. So if you hit these thresholds, X pays you based on engagement. And here is the kicker. Content from accounts appearing to be based in the United States generates significantly higher revenue than content from accounts in developing countries. In India and places outside of the US, it's worth the investment to pretend that you are an American in order to make more money. You can make more money as a US-based influencer than you can as a Russian or Indian influencer. So one content creator explained bluntly, all the traffic is from abroad, mainly the US. And as you know, with traffic from the US, your CPM will be very high. So even with fewer views, the income you generate will be higher. So what these operators do? They post the most inflammatory, divisive, emotional content possible. Why? Because outrage generates clicks. Clicks generate impressions. Impressions generate money. So this has created a perverse global incentive structure where people in Bangladesh, Nigeria, Pakistan, Iran, Eastern Europe, anywhere actually, with lower cost of living can make a decent income by pretending to be Americans and stocking political divisions. The anger is monetized, the division is profitable, and the platform enable it. And tell me, OTW, what was the reason you think you believe X released this new feature? Think by mistake or intention because of criticism?
That's a really interesting question, and I haven't said this to anybody yet. Okay, so this kind of goes into U.S. politics and goes beneath the surface of U.S. politics. Well, you know that Trump and Elon Musk had a breakup, and at that point, Trump basically told Elon Musk he had to go away. Elon Musk was supposed to be cleaning up government and shutting down jobs and shutting down waste and fraud. And Trump got rid of him, and they had a little fight. Remember, there was a fight on Twitter. They were fighting with each other. And in the last shot that Elon Musk made was that Trump was in the Epstein files. And for those of you who don't know, Epstein's a very famous child predator. He kept a harem of young girls who were under 18 years old, and he basically would have they would have sex with very important and rich people. And that's the way that Epstein was able to maintain his power and control. So what Elon Musk said is that you're in the Epstein files. He said that to Trump, right? And Trump then said, "Oh my goodness, that was a nuclear blast that went off on Twitter." And then Trump said, "You're getting all your money from the government. I'm going to cut off your government money." And so there's some truth to that. Elon Musk, a lot of his income has come from government accounts. Some people think of him as this great entrepreneur who's been in, selling his products in the free market, and he does, right? But he also gets a lot of money. So all like SpaceX, the primary income from SpaceX comes from the U.S. government. So Trump then said, "I'm going to cut you off from your government contracts." And then Elon Musk went silent, okay? And he has stayed out of politics since then because he knew that he could lose all his government contracts. I believe, maybe you're right, it may be wrong, but take it for what it's worth, that this is Elon's way of getting back at Trump, okay? It was his way of uncovering this. He knew this, I knew this, you knew this, but the public didn't know it. So he figured out a way that looked innocent, that he could uncover that the MAGA people had actually been paying people to create dissension and hatred in social media. So this kind of went out suddenly. They closed it down, and they went back to opening it up again. I think this was a shot across the bow back at Trump from Elon Musk. So I don't want to get too deep into American politics, but that's what I think it is. You know, some people will tell me I'm crazy, but I'm used to being told that I'm crazy. So it's not going to hurt me. So this is what I think it's about, right? It's a way for Elon had to shut up when Trump threatened to pull his contracts. But this is a way that he could shoot back and show what power he had in revealing that these accounts, he knows it, because if you're the owner of Twitter X, you know when these accounts, right? You know exactly. You have the IP address like they show here. You've got the IP address of all these people. You know where they downloaded the app from if it's on a phone. So they've known all along where these people are from. So Elon this is not a surprise to Elon. It's not a surprise to the people at X. And so they took the opportunity to show the world what they already knew. And I think that if Elon was still in the good graces of Trump, he never would have done it. It was his way of showing Trump, I have something on you too, just like Trump has the contracts. So for whatever that's worth, that's what I think is going on.
You know, I read many comments that people claimed, it's VPNs or proxies that create these mismatches, but it looks like, as you showed here, much widespread than this claim.
Yes, and the thing is that despite the fact that you can hide or mask your IP address with a VPN, right? We all know that. And some of these accounts may actually be VPNs in Nigeria, but there's not. We all know there's not many VPNs based in Nigeria, right? They're mostly based in Western countries. But it's easy enough for for companies who are in cybersecurity to collect all of the IP addresses that the VPNs use, right? That's easy. It's not that big of a data set, right? And so you can collect them. Some of you who are listening to this may have tried to use a VPN on a website, and it comes back and says VPNs are not allowed, right? Yeah. How do they know it's a VPN? They know it's a VPN because they know what IP addresses that those VPNs are using, right? That's how they know. And so it's easy enough to figure out for somebody like X to figure out which ones are VPNs and which one are not. So it's not rocket science to figure out which ones are VPNs, especially if you say took the top 6 VPNs and they all have the same, they have a group of IP addresses. So you collect those IP addresses and you block those IP addresses, right? That's what Netflix does and some of the other services that don't allow you to access with a VPN. They simply are blocking you because they know that IP address belongs to Nord, okay? And they say, nope, you're not going to get in.
So let's be real about what this feature can and cannot do, because it's far from perfect. And there are a few major concerns. So first, the VPN detection. So X shows a warning on profiles if it detects VPN or proxy usage. Displaying country or region may not be accurate. This seems helpful, but here is the problem. Security experts warn that flagging VPN users as suspicious could weaponize the feature. Many vulnerable communities, activists, journalists, people in oppressive regimes rely on VPNs for safety. Now they are being marked as potentially fake. Second, location spoofing. So sophisticated operators can still spoof location, believe me. If a bad actor successfully fakes a US location, the platform is now effectively verifying them as trustworthy. So former ex-employees say this is exactly why they rejected these features in the past. Third, it's reactive, not preventive. So these features help users identify suspicious accounts after they have already gained influence. It doesn't stop the accounts from being created or from accumulating followers in the first place. Fourth, it doesn't address the root cause. So as long as X, in my opinion, monetization system rewards engagement over authenticity, new tactics will emerge. You can't fix a structural problem with a technical band-aid. Now, the real solution, in my opinion, isn't better detection. It's fixing the incentive structure itself. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Not in my room. So why does this actually matters? Some people might say, so what? It's just social media, just ignore it. But there's why that's dangerously wrong. First, this is undermining democracy. These foreign actors aren't hacking voting machines. Remember, they are hacking something much more powerful: emotions, outrage, identity, patriotism, fear. So studies have shown these inauthentic accounts were responsible for driving a large share of engagement and traffic on political content. They are not just participating in conversations, they are shaping them. Second, this erodes trust. And when people discover that accounts they have been following, sharing, and believing in are actually foreign operators, it doesn't just expose these specific accounts, it makes people suspicious of everyone online. Even legitimate voices can tainted by suspicion. Third, this weaponizes psychology, and these accounts do not just share information, they manipulate emotions at scale. They know exactly which buttons to push, they are A/B testing outrage, they are optimizing for anger. And the worst part, it works. These accounts accumulating millions of followers because they are saying what people want to hear, but amplified to the extreme. 4. The irony is devastating. And remember, when Elon Musk bought Twitter in 2022, he promised to address the bot problem. He made it a central part of his acquisition. Drama. He claimed Twitter was lying about bot numbers. He conducted purchases. He cut trust and safety team. He promised transparency. And at the end, we still have this problem. Now, I'm not blaming him. I believe this is what he wanted to do. But change needs to be done clearly. I think this is again, it's not only about the X new location feature. It's much bigger than that. It's what it signals, right? So the shifting landscape of information warfare, and such small updates like this change how narratives spread, how influence work, and how the authenticity is judged online. So I think this is an important subject, and
it is. And if it's not contained, it's going to just get worse. All right. So
yeah,
it's what's happening in our world right now is that people have two sets of realities, right? Because in social media, there's a lot of untruths that are being perpetuated there. And so people are making decisions about their politics and just, the state of the world based upon things that aren't true, right? And so, yes, Mark Zuckerberg, yes, Elon, you need to do something. It's your responsibility. You guys are making hundreds of billions of dollars off this. Do something. Make sure, okay, that what's going on your platforms is truthful, right? And right now, that's not the case. And it's influencing politics. How many people do I know, who come away from social media being depressed, right? They're like, oh my God, I can't be on there anymore because it's so depressing, because there's so much hatred and there's so much misinformation. That's what is at risk, is that you are creating a society that is going to eventually reject your platform if you don't do something about it, because you are not making them better, you are making them worse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's not even talking about the politics of it. It's just the human part of it, that people are getting depressed, they're getting they're feeling bad about themselves. There's this whole thing about what's Instagram, right? That a lot of young girls are having difficulties, psychological difficulties, because they feel like they can't keep up with the beauty that, and some of it's fake, right?
Yeah.
Beauty that is portrayed on Instagram. A lot of that is fake. And now with AI, right, the fakeness gets even more realistic. So, and young girls who are 13, 14, 15 years old who are trying to come into womanhood and portray themselves as a woman, an attractive woman, they look at these Instagram photos and go, I have no chance. I have no chance. Where in reality, those pictures they're looking at are not real people, right? And so, and the other thing is really important too, if there's any 13, 14, 15-year-old girls out there listening to this, is that beauty, okay, is different for everybody. There's not just one standard of beauty. So there's one standard of beauty on Instagram, but not everybody subscribes to that image of beauty.
Yeah. I'm thinking while you are speaking, I'm looking at this handler of Gina. And again, so what this verified feature actually means now? It's not, it's actually verified no longer means identity is confirmed or trustworthy. It's only say you pay for X premium.
Exactly. That's all it means. All it means is verified. It means that you pay the $8 or whatever it is a month that is required to be verified. And for instance, on my account, it was automatically verified without my paying anything at all, because anybody who had over 5,000 followers on X automatically was verified. Anybody who had 5,000 followers or more. That's not, 5,000 is not very much. So this account right here, she may have already had 5,000 followers when X started the verification, and then it's automatically verified. Now, of course, if you want to pay the $8, you can also be verified. So it means nothing, right?
Yeah.
It sounds good. It has a blue check, it sounds verified that, hey, this is a real person. It's not. All right. So I think that Elon started with good intentions to verify the people on his platform, but in reality, it means absolutely nothing, right?
Yeah, that's important. Okay, OTW, thank you so much for these insights. I think it's significantly important for anyone to be aware and do a few more due diligence when they are before they are following certain entities or accounts, and this will only get worse as we understand the technology of this world. And it's important we verify who we listen to, who we are following to.
And I also just want to throw in is that don't get so discouraged. You can get discouraged and get off social media. That's fine, right? But don't get so discouraged that you think that this is the end of the world, because you know what? We'll recover. We as a nation, as a world, will recover from this. It's a dark day right now. We're in a very dark period, but we will recover from it, and we will end up with a social media that's better than what we have right now. We will have that, but it might take a little while. It will take these leaders, okay, Zuckerberg and Musk, to do something, for them to say, look, okay, we've got to do something about it, or people just go to another social media that doesn't have that type of elements. And there are some alternatives out there now.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. With that said, thank you very much, OTW. Really appreciate your time and view on that. And we will adjust as always, right?
We will adjust. We will survive, and we will adjust, and things will get better.
Indeed. So thank you, everyone, and see you in the next video. Okay, guys, so we are wrapping up the video, and I want to know what you think. Have you encountered these bot accounts? Did the X location feature surprise you? What do you think platforms should do differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love to hear it. Now, if you found this valuable, hit the like button, subscribe. We want to do more videos. We want to hear more from you. So this is very important for the channel growth and for everyone that is watching and trying to gain insight along with learning more about cyber security. So thanks again to Occupy the Web for this conversation. You can find links to his community, Hacker Arrays, and his school in the description below, along with dozens of videos we have done already together. And remember, the internet isn't broken, but it's being gamed. The more we understand now, the better we can fight back. So until next time, stay skeptical, stay informed, stay safe, and see you in the next video.